Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I am on a financial freedom journey with my family. A few months ago, I started a new series on my channel called Budget Reviews with me, where I share some thoughts and opinions on your real budget. And today we are going over Heather. She is 34 and she lives in Washington. I'm so excited to continue this series. If you guys are interested in getting your own budget review, the link to the form is down below. The more information and details you can give me, the better your review will be. So make sure if you do fill that out that you are being very detailed and making sure you're including everything in there so that I have a full picture of your finances. So like I said, today we're going over Heather's budget and debt plan. So Heather's 34 years old. She works as a parts clerk and she actually works in the government. She is single and her annual gross income is about $83,000. Her short-term financial goals and priorities, she would like to be debt-free and she would like to have more money in savings. Her current debt, she has about $36,000 in credit card debt, which we will go over in more detail in the debt overview. And she has about $5,000 in savings. She has almost $150,000 in investments, which is fantastic. She did share that she is currently setting aside 15% into her retirement plan and she receives a 10% match. So that is an excellent retirement amount for sure. And that is a great amount of money to have in retirement for your age, Heather. So great job on that. Her biggest financial struggle is overspending and dealing with her debt. And one of her long-term financial goals is to purchase a home. Heather, I'm super thankful for you to submit this and also super excited to help you out. So let's go ahead and go through your debt plan. All right, so I went through and I categorized Heather's credit card debt and I used the snowball method because with all of it being credit card debt, I feel like it just made the most sense to do it in the snowball method, especially because she does have a few that are relatively small that hopefully we can get knocked out relatively quickly. So she does have 6 credit cards ranging in balances from $60 to $17,000 and ranging in interest rate from 0% all the way up to 29%. And she does have over $1,000 currently in minimum payments alone. So this is the order in which I would tackle them. I would definitely do the snowball where you're rolling these into each other as you go so that you can make sure that you are continuing that pace of paying these off as quickly as possible. And Heather, if you are still using these credit cards, which I believe you are based on your budget, I would highly recommend that at least for a period of time, you stop using credit cards completely. My husband and I did this. We have been in credit card debt before. It has been many years at this point, probably 8 years since we've been in credit card debt and we've been able to stay out of credit card debt. So that is absolutely possible. And I think that if you want to add credit cards back in the future, when you're in a better spot mentally with finances, I think that's great. But for now, I would definitely recommend cut them up, do not use them. Try to do a debit card budget for a little while just to work on getting these paid off and heal your relationship with money. Once you are in a better spot with that, then I think that you could try credit cards again. But due to the high balances and the amount of credit cards you have and the fact that you said that you do struggle with overspending, I would just remove the temptation completely, get rid of the credit cards. I'm not necessarily anti-credit card. We use credit cards, like I said, but in this scenario, I think it makes the most sense. So let's go ahead and go over Heather's budget and we will talk more about the credit card debt and kind of my thoughts on tackling that. All right, so this is the budget that Heather actually submitted to me. I did not make any changes to it. So she does take home about $3,600. And like she said in her budget review, she actually puts 15% aside for her retirement savings, which is fantastic. However, based on the budget that I'm seeing here, I would recommend to you, Heather, at least for a temporary period, to drop down to the lowest amount you can to still get your match. So she does have a 10% match, which is fantastic, one of the best matches I've heard of personally. I would drop down to whatever you need to contribute to get that. If that's 10%, drop down from 15 to 10. That will give you a little bit of flexibility with your budget. Right now, it's negative, which is not great and probably why you're continuing that credit card debt like pattern. So we need to create some room in the budget. So my first thought, drop this as low as you can with still getting your match, because I do still think it's worth prioritizing getting that match, but drop it down as low as you can. Let's go through Heather's fixed expenses. So she has rent for $1,470. That seems pretty reasonable to me. Car and renter insurance at $89. Again, that seems pretty reasonable. You could try to see if you could shop around for the car and rent insurance to see if you could get a little bit cheaper, but I don't think that's too crazy. Then she does have a few subscription services. So she has Netflix at $17, Paramount at $9, Amazon, I'm going to jump around a little bit, Amazon Prime at $17, and Hulu at $21. That's a little bit high in my opinion for some streaming services. Something that my husband and I like to do, and I've shared this in other budget reviews, is that we kind of rotate through them. So like 1 month we'll have Netflix, 1 month maybe we'll have like a different, Hulu or whatever. So that might be a good option for you, just to not have to pay these all at once. And Amazon Prime, see how much you're shopping on there. If it's really something that you're using a frequent amount, then maybe keep it. But if you could drop it, personally, we got rid of our Amazon Prime, I think a year or two ago. I haven't missed it because I still am able to shop on Amazon periodically when we do need something, because sometimes there are things like that you just really can't find somewhere else. But we still use Amazon. We just have to get over that like I think it's $35 to ship for free. So maybe consider canceling the Prime and then seeing if you can reduce some of these other streaming services possibly. $91 for Xfinity, and then she also had another $10 for Xfinity Mobile. She did say this is for an iPad. I'm not sure what you're using your iPad for, but maybe see if you could drop this and just use Wi-Fi. Personally, we don't have any plans on any of our iPads. We just use them on Wi-Fi, so you could save a little bit maybe by doing that. And then I'm assuming this $91 is for internet and maybe cell phone, because I didn't see cell phone in here otherwise. If it's for internet and cell phone, I feel like that's relatively reasonable. That's probably about what we pay, but just check into that and make sure you're aware of what you are paying for completely. She has $1 for Apple storage, which again, no comment on that, like totally fine. And then $61 for electric. And then she has $1,106 in credit card minimum payments, and that is coming directly from our debt tracker that we went over. And that is actually at 31% of her take-home income, which again, really high, and we need to get that under control. So if we can get a little bit of breathing room here, if we can maybe increase the income slightly by reducing that 401k temporarily, again, 15% is fantastic, but you have a emergent, like in my opinion, emergent issue to deal with all these credit cards, especially at some of these interest rates. Like you're spinning your wheels and you're not doing yourself any favors. So reduce that down, cut out some of this stuff if you can, and that will give you some room. So her total fixed expenses are $28.92. Her total remaining is $708. Now going up to variable expenses, again, I didn't change any of these. These are exactly what she reported to me. So she has groceries at $240, gas at $240, household at $80, miscellaneous at $80, self-care at $120, emergency at $80, and personal at $40. Again, none of these seem too crazy to me, but it does create a negative amount in your budget. So we can't have that. Like you're going backwards every single month at this time with the budget that you're having. So we need to create room here, and create room here. So one thing I would recommend possibly doing is getting rid of this emergency line item. I don't know if this is something that I'm not sure if this is like something you're adding to savings or that you just like to have this item in the budget. I would nix that. You already have a miscellaneous category, so I feel like that should capture maybe what would be in here. Personal at $40 and self-care at $120. Again, I don't feel like that's crazy, but we do have a negative here. So there's got to be something, there's got to be some give and take here with the budget to be able to make it work. And this is with just paying the minimum payments. So we need to create more income and less expenses. So Heather, what I would highly recommend you do, check into the 401k, check into reducing that, because that will give you some more room here. Check into maybe getting rid of a couple of these streaming services, even temporarily, and that would give you a little room here. And go through this and really see what could be cut. Could you cut your self-care to 60 instead of 120? That would be helpful. Could you maybe cut your household from 80 to 40? Again, the personal doesn't seem crazy to me at $40 for the month, so I'm not sure that I would touch that. Are you actually spending $240 on gas, or could that be reduced a little bit? So just kind of see where you have the room here, because we need to make up a deficit of $172, and then we really need to create some sort of income that is able to go towards your debt snowball so that we can make more progress than just paying the minimums. Because if you're just paying these minimums with these interest rates, you're going to be spinning the wheel for a long time. So consider maybe a side hustle. I know something I've done in the past and shared about on my channel a lot is Instacart. I loved doing Instacart. I would love to do it again, but I've just been too busy. But Instacart is a great way to make some extra money in your area if it's available. DoorDash, just anything that you can think of to make a little bit of extra money. If you could even take up a part-time job on the weekends just to be able to get out of the credit card debt, because once you can cut this out, you're going to be in really good shape. Like, that would be amazing if you didn't have this $1,100 worth of minimum payments. But while you have this in your budget, it really is just putting you in the hole every single month, which is why you keep spinning with the credit cards. So those are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts for Heather in the comments down below. Obviously, please keep it positive. It's very vulnerable to share these kind of things on the internet. And also, I think a lot of us have been here too. Heather, my husband and I were in credit card debt as well in the past, and we've been there. Like, it is so easy to get into that cycle, and sometimes it can be really hard to get out. So stay positive. Reach out to me on Instagram if you need any help or if you want any other direction. But I think if you can reduce some of these expenses and increase the income, you will be in a great spot, and we can really get this cleared up relatively quickly so that you can have all this money back to yourself and not have to pay 31% of your income in minimum payments. So that's all I have for this video. Again, thank you to Heather for submitting. If you're interested, I will leave the form in the bio down below, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.